Hello, 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 and welcome to today's episode of Her Version. This podcast is dedicated to sharing stories of struggle to triumph, a platform that allows individuals to tell their truth in order to inspire and uplift others. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. If you are new to this podcast, make sure you follow, like, subscribe, and share. Let's jump right in. Hello, and thank you for joining us today on this episode of Her Version. I have Christine here with us today. She is an intuitive business coach and energy healer. She teaches fundamentals on how to heal, meditate, align with your soul's purpose, end emotional suffering, and how to trust your intuition. She created the Lightworkers Business Village to help entrepreneurs remove any emotional or energetic blocks, stand strong in their business as a lighthouse, and shift energy to allow for abundance in all areas of your life and business. Her story is so inspiring, and I'm so thrilled to have her here with us. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you. Hello,
How you
hello.
doing?
I am great.
Awesome.
Glad to be
Hey,
here.
I also just wanted to let our listeners know, because you told me that you actually have a free ebook. Do
Yes.
you want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So on my website, healingsoulschool.com, there is an orange button right at the top of the homepage, and it's the steps to self-healing. It's how to get started to go within and to heal yourself. You are your own best healer. And the steps are there, but I've also included, it's the idea is anyone who's been raised in any kind of trauma or abuse, or if you have dissociation where it's hard to stay focused or you're numbing, all those sorts of things. That's who I wrote it for in mind, because I'm one of those people. And so I, wrote it in just my observation in my healing journey, especially this last year and a half. And some of the things that I started to notice as I was calming my nervous system that I was still dealing with every day from, the past, and just wanted to really help people to give them a hand or a leg up on how to start or how to really release that, calm your nervous system, come back into your authentic self or within.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I feel like those are the best people to be writing something like that for, because a lot of times we're really timid when we first start to like open up and do all of the things. We're like, we're kind of scared almost. So I love
Mhm.
that that you put that together for us. So thank you.
Cool.
I loved your story, everything about you. We have a very similar background. And I was hoping before we kind of dig into all of the goodies and all of your knowledge that you have regarding your space, I was hoping
Mhm.
that you could kind of backtrack a little bit and tell us, a little backstory about your past and some challenges that you went through that kind of helped set you up for the journey that you're on now.
Absolutely. Thank you. So was born in and raised into a Jehovah's Witness family. That's where our connection is. And at 13, I was able to leave. Thankfully, my mom said that we didn't have to go back, my sister and I. And I just, from that time, and not here to bash any religions, but I would just say that I just knew at 13 that it wasn't for me, that how people were treated within was not something that felt like was very loving. And it was something I didn't want to be a part of anymore. And then I went to a Catholic high school. Then I married into a Baptist family. And I thought the Baptist people were like the true religion. And now that I look back, I just realized that I was once again included and loved and accepted in another group very similar to the Jehovah's Witnesses. And so it was just this feeling of home in a sense, but there was more control, more, if you don't do this or fit in this paradigm or this box, then you're wrong or you're going to hell, or just more fear. And as I grew out of that, and after my divorce, I started to go to non-denominational churches because I still wanted to have a connection. I had felt that in the church, well, the Baptist one mainly. And so I wanted that, and I just really was on a search of like what that looked like. I kind of felt like the little boy and the alchemist, just looking and searching. And I found more spirituality, I would say, in the last year and a half. And that was taboo for us. Growing up as Jehovah's Witnesses, we weren't allowed to engage in anything new age or esoteric or anything of the spirit realm. We were taught that it was evil and we would bring bad things into our home if we did. And so I thought, you know what, I'm at a place in my life where what do I believe and what feels really good to me, and just started to search there. And now I feel like instead of swimming in the swimming pool, I feel like I'm swimming in the ocean, and I get to kind of go out there and figure out what works for me, as everyone else. Everyone's on their own journey, and I've just found some things that really resonate. And part of that is energy and energy work and healing. So for me, it's really the science and spirituality. I'm very grateful for the way that I was brought up, because I have a very high level of discernment, or a bullshit meter. And so I'm like, you got to prove that to me, because I don't think I can buy into that hook, line, and sinker, because I've been down that path before, and it feels similar. So even in the spiritual community, I feel like there is a lot of control and almost even cultish in a way of, you got to do these things. And it's like, no, I really just need to connect direct to source for myself, or what feels good within, and not really go back to these rituals, or you've got to sage, or you got to do these things, otherwise, more bad things. No. I just can't buy into that. So that's where the science is really helpful for me, because I feel it's some of the meat. It's why do things happen? And then I can easily, understand, let it sink in, put it towards my intuition and what feels good inside, and then decide if that's something that is for me or not.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that you feel comfortable expanding on this, but I
Sure.
kind of did the same thing you did, where when I left the Jehovah's Witnesses, kind of dabbled around. And one of the things that I did is went to a non-denominational church, and I actually attended for quite a while. I want to say maybe only about a year or so,
Mm,
until it just kind of felt, I mean, again, exactly what you said, bullshit meter, and just kind of like,
yeah.
really?
Yeah.
But the camaraderie is what I was really looking for, and the
Yeah.
community is what I was really looking for. So, do you have any advice for individuals who are kind of on that same route, where they're kind of like, yeah, this really isn't working for me. However, where do I go for my community?
Absolutely. I think it's really just like finding what resonates with yourself, or just even ask the universe, I would like a community, I would like a spiritual mentor, or whatever it is that you're looking for, and then just leave it. And what's going to happen is the people who are meant for you, or your tribe, or those that are going to help you with that next level, are going to come. I've been to non-denominational churches, and what really draws me there is the music and the community, of course, and to feel like so cool when you're singing. And I've been part of a couple of churches that, and excuse me, they turn the lights down, so it's almost like you're at a concert and everyone's
Yes.
there, and it's like
Yes.
the energy is really great in the room. And I love that piece of it. So you got to kind of figure, I guess, whatever is going to be in your area, or create something. If you
Mm-hmm.
can't find it, then create it. So we've started doing that. We're doing new moon and full moon meditations at our house in our backyard, just to bring in community and to talk about the things that we like to talk about and are comfortable. And we're not having to fit into a box. Because what I find with organized religion, even if it's non-denominational, there's still some basis of Christianity there usually. And with that, there's still more condemnation. You were born a sinner. You weren't worthy when you were born. You have to do these things in order to be approved. And I don't buy into that anymore. I just feel that there's a lot of fear. I think at one time we needed that as society, back when religion started, and villages were being pillaged and all of that. But we have grown as a society, and we don't need those kinds of things anymore to keep us on the straight and narrow. I think that, we just intuitively can do what feels good to us as good people, but then having a community and finding what they are, it really just depends what you're looking for. If you're, interested in more spirituality and what that is, and the quantum field, sorry, going to be turned off. Just connecting to something that feels really good to you. I own the Healing Soul School, and we are strictly a spiritual community, which means come as you are. We are woo crew, so we'll talk about everything, oracle cards or energy healing. If you want to talk about astral travel, we're super open. And so we have that community. I wanted to build a community of people that I could speak my heart and learn, really, because I didn't know all this stuff growing up. And again, it was so taboo. So it's so interesting to me now. It's like, oh, well, why do you do that? And what's the point behind saging? What's the point behind energy healing or tapping into like what your emotions are that you're holding in your body? There's so much that we can use, I think, from Native Indians, our ancestors, moon cycles, all of that, that our grandparents did, where they connected to nature, they connected back to themselves. And we've just gotten away from that, where now I feel we look outside of ourselves for that happiness or filling our cup or whatever, but we're all being called right now to come back home, and that's to come home within. So it could be having a practice in your home, or it's a meditation, or going to a yoga studio and being part of a class. Maybe that's your community and your form of church, or connecting. It's what feels good to you, what lights you up, and you come home, or you're in that, maybe even on a Zoom call, and after you're like, yes, you feel fulfilled from it.
Exactly. I remember seeing this comedian. I want to say he's an atheist, but he kind of was doing this joke where he goes, "I rape and kill as many people as I want to rape and kill." Basically insinuating, because I'm not in a religion, I rape and kill whoever I want. And he goes, "I rape and kill 0 people every year."
Right.
So it's kind of back to what you were saying. And there's raping and pillaging. It's not something that is happening anymore. So I shouldn't say that. It's not something that is as prevalent as it was at one point.
Understood.
I apologize. And the thought process of there needs to be a godly figure or a heavenly figure that is giving us judgment or making us fearful in order for us to be good, decent human beings isn't necessarily a thing anymore. And for some people, yes, and for some people, no. And like you said, it's finding what works for you. But I thought that was funny that you said that. It kind of reminded me of that comedian, and I thought that was so funny because it's so true. I remember feeling that, like, what if nobody believed in God? Then we'd all be, destined to getting murdered, or there'd be total anarchy, and that isn't necessarily the case.
No.
100%. I want to talk a little bit about, so we had a call before, this podcast to kind of create our flow of what we're doing. And there was something really interesting that you kind of brought up that I want to kind of dive into. And you mentioned a few steps that I'd kind of like you to expand on and kind of tell us what they're, I guess, best used for. So the first one was, you were talking about becoming an observer, like an observer of your life. The second one is breath work and meditation. And the third one is mastering your own triggers and emotions. So if you could kind of tell me what those would be used for and then what they kind of are.
Cool. These are the steps to healing yourself. And so what you want to do is, very often we're living in the 3D world of, whatever happens, I'm seeing it, or I'm aware of what's going on. And so when you can take a step out of your body and just look at it from top down. So maybe you're a fly on the wall, or you're looking at it, you take that step back, and your divine feminine, as I say, your safe feminine, is you take the step back and you observe like what's going on, so that you can then think about how you want to respond instead of reacting. What happens with this is you will come to a place where you're not reacting, you're not freaking out. Something happens and it's going to be this knee-jerk kind of reaction that we're normally used to. That's how we were raised, majority society. So now, by being the observer, you can take that step back, you can have a breath, and really just think about what is happening right now, what's for my highest good to move forward, and what is my learn, what's the lesson. We'll talk about triggers in a second. So that's really about being the observer. That's kind of just step one. Have a look to see what's going on so that you can kind of assess what's happening.
100%. 100%. And then
Mhm.
breath work and meditation.
Yeah. So this is everything. This is your breath. This is connecting back to source, to spirit, creator, nature, the trees, whatever your comfort word is, it's all the same. It's all energy. And so by being able to connect to your breath work, it's taking that moment where, so you've taken the pause and now really just sink into your breath so that you're being present. Because when you're present, now you're able to see what's happening around you. Your prefrontal cortex is open. Sorry, give me 1 second. Sorry. So when you're going down into your breath, then you are activating your vagus nerve. You're activating the parts of your body that are going to help you connect your intuition to give you the answers of what you're looking for. So you're triggered in the moment. Kid is freaking out on the floor, and right away you're like, your fight or flight automatically just kicks in as it's meant to. And so by being able to take that step back, I'm the observer. Okay, what's happening? She's not in danger. There's nothing like around her that can hurt her. So let me take a step back. And now I just come into my breath before I respond. Because normally I would just freak out, like, what are you doing? Or, now I'm all in a tizzy by that trigger. So it's like, okay, let me come into my breath first. And the more that you can do that and become aware, then more becomes available to you. You can actually see more of your opportunities in front of you instead of being stuck in this fight or flight. And also by connecting to the breath, you're present and you're coming into a space of there is possibility, or there is a hope, there is a solution to every problem, as opposed to hair's on fire and you're freaking out and trying to figure out what to do. And then the meditation is really to calm your mind. And science has proven that the more that you meditate and you go within, and it might be just on a Zoom call, and I can have my eyes open right now and I have my hand on my belly, so I'm taking breaths so that I'm calm and I'm able to think about what I want to say next. But I'm feeling safe right now because I've trained my body that when I'm in this state, I'm in rest and digest. It's okay. There's no threat. I can just relax and more is open and available to me. The meditation actually rewires the neural pathways in your brain so that you are not stuck in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. You're able to actually look at your day, or just be in a better space. When you meditate in the morning, it totally changes your whole day and the trajectory, because now you're in a space of you're present, you're aware, what are the top 3 things that I'd like to get done today. You're following your intuition, you're in a calmer space. Now, when I wake up the little one for school, I'm calm versus, waking up, hitting the snooze. Now, I'm in this frantic state, and like, that's no fun way to start the day. So when I started to go within, when I wake up and I realize I'm coming to the day starting, being in my breath work, taking those 5 breaths, what am I grateful for? And then dropping into a meditation, whether you're able to do it and close your eyes or do a guided one, it just sets your calm for the day. Now, when I wake the little one up, she's also going to be in a calm state, because the kids feed off us, or our spouses, or whoever's around you. Your pets, they feed off of your energy. And so if you're in this constant fight or flight, so is everyone else in the house. Yeah. You focus on you calm yourself and calm your nervous system. Then what happens is everyone else around you starts to calm down as well. Kind of my frantic state was, I was in a depression 3 years ago, kid on the floor. It's, winter time, and she's got to put on her snow, she's 5 at the time, and like, try to get a dead weight child to put on anything. It doesn't work, right? Yeah. And so I was just like, I threw my hands up and I'm like, there's got to be a better way. Like, I don't want to live this life. And so I really just started to study the brain and like focusing on myself and really just calming and coming down into that. And now, like, there's less temper tantrums. I'm not yelling the same. I'm more present. It's just a way of life that is so much more enjoyable. And one last thing I'll say on the meditation is, I started last October. My business partner taught me how to meditate, really how to meditate. And we have that in our Facebook group if anyone wants to know how. We offer that for free in our guides tab. And so 5 months in now, I've been meditating, and her recommendation is once in the morning and then once at 2 o'clock, even if it's 15 or 20 minutes. It's a reset for the day. Now you can go into a meeting in a better frame of mind. You're open, you're aware, you're not tired. You can be with the kids or whomever's at home, and you're just more present. So after 5 months, I realized I was holding my breath. I had no idea that I'd been holding my breath my
Yes.
whole life. That's anxiety breath. That's trauma breath. That's
Yeah.
predator breath.
I've had
Because
that.
I grew up living on pins and needles, right? And
Yeah.
so, or eggshell, walking on eggshells. And so my body is always in that fight or flight because it's just how the programming that happened. It's okay. I know that and have healed a lot of that stuff. But now I get to observe when I'm in that state. So if I'm watching something or someone, calls my name or a message comes through, I now can feel when I go from rest and digest to fight or flight. And then I can take that step back and I observe, okay, am I meant to go through this situation, or how am I going to handle it? Or how can I remove this because this is not healthy for me anymore? I turned off the notifications on most of my apps because it's a dopamine hit, right?
Yeah.
An app comes and you're like, ooh, I got a message, right? And so and it feels good. And you're like, ooh, I got to check it. But really, I should be doing my whatever for work. So now I'm
Mhm.
dissociating or I'm numbing or I'm in this lull of, I need a fix and I don't have one. So am I getting sugar? Am I going on something that's going to excite me or listen to something on YouTube that's going to bring that back up because it's what my body is used to? Or am I going to say, no, body, thank you. We're good. I'm going to do this instead. I'm just going to, instead of, any addiction, I'm going to choose to do this instead because it's more healthy for my frame of mind. I feel calmer. And so it's great because now I'm picking up when I'm being thrown into that fight or flight. And now I can say, okay, what is this and what's going on? And do I really need it in my life, or can I remove it for now or forever until I feel stronger? And I can come back to a place where, my boundaries are strong, I'm understanding my body, and I'm really just able to know, kind of what's going on in that moment and, yeah, and really what's happening.
Absolutely. Absolutely.